So, hello and welcome to the Talk Tonight podcast. Today, I am joined with the Royston Club, the Baltics from the other guests that are on. Bit confusion, been a few days. But I'm joined with the Royston Club. Lads, it's great to have you on.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Hello.
Hello.
Like many small independent bands, I can assume that lockdown's been a blessing to use with, people not having much on the time and just discovering you. I know that I discovered you through lockdown, and I've got to say I'm quite pleased that I did discover you.
Yeah, it's been all right, to be fair. We all thought it'd be a bit of a nightmare because obviously no gigging in that, but sort of Spotify numbers have been doing all right, and there's just sort of more time for people to listen to music. So it's actually worked out quite nicely for us, like you said.
As obviously we're coming out of lockdown now, and obviously gigs are being put on, like socially distant gigs. I know a few bands around here in the northeast that have started to play these socially distant gigs. Can you see yourself doing that in the next few months? And does that idea of playing a socially distant gig feel weird to you?
I don't know if I'd want it, to be fair.
Yeah,
I think
especially the ones that are you get the socially distanced one. I think Sam Fender did one, didn't he? Outside.
Yeah, he did one in
where
Newcastle.
everyone gets to meet.
I think ideally it'd have to be a certain level where you'd have a massive field full of thousands of people all socially distanced. I think if you did a socially distanced one with 100 people, probably wouldn't quite have the same effect a little bit, but you never know. Could do, I guess.
And obviously,
I'd do it, to be fair. Just playing live again.
You do anything there, Ben?
I can imagine I can imagine that you play social clubs and that. Obviously when you've been gigging before, small clubs, and obviously they're gonna face the brunt of it, really, aren't they? Because you can't really socially distance in a social club in a small room.
No, exactly.
Yeah, we need the venue. Do you know what I mean? Even just for a couple of hundred people, you need a venue 4 or 5 times bigger, just because obviously you need that extra space. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You've been busy, haven't you? The last 2 years, you had an EP out just before lockdown. One of the tracks on there, it's probably one of my best tracks actually that I've discovered on lockdown. There, believe it or not. What were you going with that EP? Were you sort of going into a sort of experimental field, or just sort of I don't know?
Well, to be fair, we recorded the EP 6-7 months after we formed. Really, we formed right at the end of 2018, so it wasn't like we were going with any direction in particular. We were just playing music naturally, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We were trying to do anything.
Where we could go with it, really, wasn't it? Seeing what we could do.
It's as raw sound as you could get, really, with that EP.
Yeah. I think we're sort of we're trying to sort of find our sound as well, because if you look like Shawshank, Wasted Kerosene, they're all 3 very different sounding songs. So I think with the EP, we wanted just to sort of find our sound a bit more, if you get me, so people would recognise us a bit better. And that was the main sort of thing we're looking for, I think. But.
And obviously, I've seen on some of your Instagram stories over the last few weeks, you have blown up. You've got loads of people listening to you, loads of people are putting you on their Instagram stories. I mean, have you seen any difference in the amount of monthly listeners on Spotify over the last few months, or has it just sort of kept?
Yeah. No, we've actually seen it's been really weird, because even though we haven't released anything since that EP, like you said, there's been a gradual rise in sort of listeners on Spotify, which you wouldn't normally associate with when you haven't released anything for 6 months. But it's sort of in our minds, it sort of shows that bit of a testament to sort of what we put out, and that it's obviously half decent if people are still listening to it sort of 4, 5, 6 months after it's come out, and it's still sort of rising a bit. So yeah, we have seen that rise. It's been quite nice to see as well, getting sort of more feedback on it all as well.
And obviously, I think
Mariana rocketed in Liverpool, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, through the roof. So no, it's been quite nice to see you there.
Obviously, use out from Wrexham, which is obviously most people don't think of Wrexham as musical paradise, or North Wales for the matter, because obviously when I think the only band that came out of North Wales over the last 5 years, Catfish, the Bottommen, they've obviously made a name for North Wales music scene. But how does it feel? Is the Welsh music scene as good as the English, and is Wrexham sort of coming up there, or is it just?
Nah, I don't know about what the other lads think, but I'm not sure Wrexham has the biggest scene ever. To be fair, I think North Wales maybe has a bit going on, but I'm not sure about Wrexham itself. But yeah,
I think in a way that's what helped us though, because it's not a huge scene in Wrexham. like especially when we've done local gigs and even ones in Liverpool and Manchester, like we've brought loads of people, all from Wrexham, all just mates, all having a good time. Do you know what I mean? Enjoying the music. So in a way, it might have helped us that because there's not really loads and loads of bands coming through or artists coming through. There's a bit more attention on us. If you get me.
Well, yeah, I think it'd probably be hard if you're coming from like sort of a Manchester or a Liverpool or a London because it's just like also like diluted in that. But so I think he's probably got a good point here.
Well, I was like I said, I was talking about this weekend, and we were on about the same subject, like how bands from like the sort of post-industrial like towns and cities like Wrexham and Newcastle, like there's not much attention on them compared to like Manchester, Liverpool. And obviously, like you said, you feel like if you had more acts from like Wrexham, you sort of would have exploded more than you have done. But I mean, I think did you think like it's sort of lucky when you see bands from Manchester and Liverpool, like they're sort of just like, you know, because they're born in the area where the Beatles were playing and the Stone Roses and that. Do you think there's that sort of, do you think music comes with that look? Or
yeah, there probably is like a little bit of bias towards it, but it just means like if you're from somewhere like Wrexham or Chester or Newcastle, then you've got to be good enough to get out of there as fast as you can, and then you can get on to like Liverpool, Manchester, and then it's like Sheffield and further away.
I think that's being in a city as well. You sort of, when you start your standard gig, is already like a step up from what our standard gig was. Do you know what I mean? Like we were just looking at like pubs in around Wrexham, which can't really fit more than 100 people in. If you're like in a big city, your standard gig would be, do you know what I mean, like proper venues, maybe not big venues, but like they'd be a step up where we started in a way. So there's a slight advantage for them as well in that sense.
Yeah, well, I think like to be fair, like I think like coming from areas like Wrexham and Newcastle, I think there's sort of like a creative motivation for artists because obviously like in Wrexham and Newcastle, we're pretty like in Middlesbrough where I'm from. We have an out pretty much, and obviously you sort of like you're that bored, you sort of have this sort of motivation to push yourselves and try to become like the best like in your area and sort of making a name not only for yourselves but also for your area and put like your areas in the map.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think we're all since we started, there's been a really like good sort of close bond within Wrexham. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of people come together to like come see us at shows, and I feel like it's more satisfying as well in that sense because people still do look at like Wrexham quite negatively. It's sort of the area it is. But I feel like just like even if it's just one night for one of our gigs, a whole like not a whole town, but do you know what I mean? Like a big group of people we're all brought together and we're all having a good time just for music. So I think in a way like it's a lot more satisfying when we do the shows.
You have like built up that. You have built up that cult following then, which is sort of something that I think every band needs really. And then like once you've got that cult following, you've got regular fans. It's sort of like jobs are good really, isn't it?
No, definitely.
Yeah, because that's what we said really. When it was like until we get like a proper following from Wrexham, you can't really go elsewhere. Do you know what I mean? Like if the people in your own town won't follow you and won't back you, you can't expect to go to Liverpool, Manchester and expect the same thing there. So yeah, but to be fair to everyone in Wrexham, like, you know what I mean, they're loving us.
Well, Wrexham has been having a lot of coverage over the last year. I don't know if you know this legend, the bootlegger. Any of you know who the bootlegger is?
Yeah. Of course, a legend.
Wrexham's finest.
But have you ever met him?
Travels
in
fast.
Wrexham or?
Never met him. He's tweeted about some of our stuff here and there, and we've never actually met him though. It's probably time we do. We're getting down to a gig or something, but never actually met him.
What's him though? Like before he blew up, like 4 or 5 years ago, when he was just doing like the Wrexham match day vlogs. Obviously, like the big on Twitter and stuff. But when they first came out, like 2014, 15, whatever it was, I remember watching him like on a Sunday morning in bed. So it's quite weird now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, like 5 years later, he's just blown up massively. Do you know what I mean? It's weird.
So like you just follow the footy then in Wrexham because I know that what the impression that I get from like the likes of bootlegger and just the Wrexham community is that those communities are sort of like football is the most important thing to them as well as the music, etc. It's the same up there. So would you like say that you are big Wrexham fans then, or?
Nah,
big football fans.
Sound bad about that.
Big football, not Wrexham fans, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean follow Wrexham. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it is a local team, so like. Everyone like sort of keeps an eye, seeing how they're doing. Pays like a bit of an interest, obviously, but I wouldn't class myself as a Wrexham fan.
Like you just sort of like follow because it is your local area, and you sort of want to see.
Yeah, but I feel like quite a lot of our mates aren't really Wrexham. I can't, you know what I mean? There's not many Wrexham fans within our mates. I would
think
say.
it's more like sort of older generations. You get sort of like sort of more middle-aged people who like grew up around the club.
Yeah.
Diehard
It is,
fans,
it is a family club as well. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
My parents don't really support Wrexham either, so like that's why I don't. That's just
like to say, like it is the same. But like obviously, I can't really compare the North East and North Wales in terms of like football support, because up here we are football mad in the North East, like Middlesbrough, Newcastle, Sunderland. You are sort of brought up kicking a football out the womb. So sort of, I don't think I obviously I don't think it's comparable, but I do think like Wrexham, they do. I admire the closeness of the community. What I'm hearing obviously from news and what I like tend to hear about Wrexham and Wales in particular. You know, the closest in the community is something that I envy, because we don't have that anymore being in the North East, which is a bit sad, really.
Yeah, I think that's the deal. That's the thing about Wrexham. It's small, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It is a small town. So, like, it is, you said, it's a close community in a way. Obviously, there's a lot of different groups and that, but when you go on a night out, you know what I mean? Like, everyone you see, you know them. It's just, like, it's pretty sick, to be fair.
Yeah. Obviously, like, I keep going about lockdown, you know, it's sort of a subject you can't really avoid at the moment, because obviously it's constantly in the news, it's constantly happening. Can you see yourselves going grouse shooting in the next few months? You know, obviously the social distancing guidelines say that you can't meet in a house, but you can meet in a grouse shooting session. So how would you feel about jamming?
Not a question I was expecting, but now you put it to us. Yeah, maybe we could. I don't know.
Tempting. It really is tempting.
Yeah. Tempting.
That's an excuse, I guess. Catch us down the pub. That's what they'll say we'll be doing.
Yeah. I mean, it would be something like in your flat cap, your tweed jackets, and just like sort of jamming, and instead of like jamming, like you got sort of like going to the end of the guitar, and you're just like, oh, the grouse.
Well, into that, yeah. Make some modifications on it. Very, very down with that.
Very sort of future generation. Be like the Elon Musk of North Wales with your shooting guitars.
Yeah, exactly. Not a bad shout at all, I don't think.
Well, if you shoot any graphs, don't blame me. You know, I said it, but I didn't. No, I'm joking. But it is sort of like, when you think about it though, like, what do you think about that? Like, you can't use, you know, won't be able to, like, well, I can assume that none of you have seen each other that much during lockdown. Obviously, you have people meeting up for stuff like grouse and like.
Towards the end of it, we were obviously able to jam again, which was really nice. After like 3 months being able to sort of actually even play music was pretty sick. But obviously over the main bit we didn't meet, and then obviously it's not looking great for sort of the next couple of months on what's going to happen. So sort of trying to make the most of it a little bit at the moment. I think we're sort of trying to do as much as you can before, obviously. Well, not obviously, but before we might be locked away again or whatever. So it's a bit of a blag, but it's the same for everyone, I guess. There's not a huge amount you can do.
Did you do any like Zoom sessions then? Like, oh, sorry.
One rule for them, another rule for us, I think.
Exactly. Everyone listen to Ben, because Ben is spouting what is always on my mind. One rule for them, one rule for us. I mean, I don't know anyone that needs to go to Barney Castle for an eye test, but hey ho, it's the society we live in these days.
Exactly.
Did you have any like Zoom sessions then during lockdown? Because I know obviously a few bands did. I know Blossoms, they'd done you know, the Zoom sessions where the isolation covers, where they also collab with Miles Kane.
We didn't do them on Zoom, but we did like these garden covers, to be fair. So we sort of we pre-record like a couple of covers that we picked ourselves. So we did sort of Blackbird by the Beatles, and we did a Radiohead one, and then sort of put them up with some film as well on it, and put them on like our socials and that, and they sort of went down quite well, to be fair. Because I think everyone was sort of looking just for any type of music, just something bit new on social. So they actually did alright on like Twitter and all that, to be fair. So we did some of that, but not really on Zoom as much.
Yeah, I don't think we got good enough equipment to do it all live on Zoom, do we?
Yeah, Blossom's a bit of a step up, really.
I mean, to be fair, they're from obviously like Stockport. Obviously, I'm not saying Manchester, but they've sort of like, it's been what, 4 years, 5 years, and they've blown up. They went from playing down some social clubs in Stockport to being the soundtrack of Stranger Things. Like, you know, that's sort of.
Yeah.
I mean,
we record at the same place they do as well, sort of Parr Street in Liverpool, and you sort of walk in and you see all their like plaques on the wall and that sort of stuff. Just sort of shows how far they've come, to be fair, because they're obviously pretty much top of the game now, aren't they?
Motivate you as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously their class, but it does show that everybody starts in the same place in music. Do you know what I mean? Everyone gets to do the same grind where they want to be. So it's quite refreshing in a way, seeing that like big bands like that a few years ago were like a similar position to us. So it's good motivation.
So obviously, like, could you play at the same, like, because obviously you've been rehearsing or recording at the same studio as Blossoms did. Would you say you cite Blossoms as a influence on any music, or would you not? And would you have like other influences that do influence the sort of sound of most of your songs?
I'd say the sound of Blossoms isn't a massive influence, but like the way they structure their songs is a big influence.
Yeah, I think like
catchy
person
pop
to
rock
person
kind of
we are
sound.
different as well.
Is there any like sort of like obviously going back on these sort of influence sort of questions? Do you ever listen to like a certain song like made by one of your favorite artists, and you like before even you became a band, you sort of like think, oh well, that's who I want to be like, or that's what I want to sort of like play in front of, like anything like that?
I think the thing is with us a lot, we each listen to a completely different kind of music, which has helped really with the way our sound's crafted. Dave listens to like the classic rock kind of thing. Tom's big into the Strokes. I'm big into the Smiths. Sam's a bit more into like the hip hop kind of stuff. But then we all have a common thread as well. We all listen to a lot of stuff similar as well, and that kind of it's given us a big pool of people to pick from when we're deciding.
Yeah, it's got a big like range of influence for your sound, doesn't it?
Yeah. If all four of us just smashed like indie music 24/7, do you know what I mean? Like when we come to writing songs, like all we build proper like predictable indie things, but because like we've all got such, like you said, different types of music, like there's a lot of different ideas coming in. Do you know what I mean? Being thrown about, so it works well.
Obviously, you do like a problem with like British music is that you tend to have some bands that do sound the same, sort of that heavy sort of sounding, sort of like festival goers, like sort of like football away day soundtracks. Obviously, that's what I don't find with you. What I find English reviews is the sort of is that dog there? Honestly, it's all right, Ben. We've had run-ins with dogs, not as in that sort of sense. I mean, we've had run-ins with dogs on this before. I think it was the other day. The drummer of the Baltics, he had his dog bark, and obviously the music must have them barking mad. Obviously, he must be doing something good there.
You done that?
But what I was saying is that obviously you have this problem with so many bands sounding the same. Sort of they look up to the Cortinas, Arctic Monkeys, etc., and think, oh yeah, we want to sound like them and we want to be a carbon copy of them. But what I find with you is that you're not like that. You sort of have this sort of distinguished sort of sound, this distinguished sort of like, taste and style that you sort of want to like show people.
I sort of look at it like, I sort of think like that no one's really going to do like the Arctic Monkeys better than the Arctic Monkeys. There's no point trying to like sort of carbon copy them, because you may as well do your own thing, and obviously take influences in that, but you may as well do your own thing a little bit, and have your own sound instead of just like you said, like Stone Roses, Arctic Monkeys, and that sort of stuff. There's no point to do it really.
Sorry, I feel like it's
all go after you.
Obviously Ben writes most of the songs anyway, to be fair, but even then, we've never sat down and said like, oh, we want to get this sort of sound from this song. We want to do, be inspired by this artist for this song. It's sort of everyone writes their pieces and everyone comes in, and then we see how it sounds. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we've ever actually sat down and planned to sort of have a certain sound. That makes sense. We've just sort of played, and then whatever happens, like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's the song essentially. Which I think that as well is why like they don't really sound very similar to other bands, because we're not going off anyone. We're just sort of playing what feels right for us, if that makes sense.
Because obviously, I think one of you said earlier that Kerosene and Kerosene and one of the other singles, like obviously they have a distinguished like sort of sound like the EP. That's like obviously your latest release. What because I listen to Believe It or Not, I listen to it several times because it is a bop. But one thing I'm always intrigued by is the lyrics in Believe It or Not. And was there any certain sort of inspiration for that, or was it just on top
Go
of
it?
Over to you, buddy.
It was an ex-girlfriend, yeah.
Oh.
Tore it apart.
So I feel bad for bringing that up.
Sensitive topic, mate. Try and keep it quiet, I had to find out.
Nah, it's all good, mate. It's all good now. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Fair play to it though. If it wasn't for her, though, do you know what I mean? It might not have been wrote. So.
Yeah, credit to her.
That's awesome.
Yeah. She's got a song out of it now, so
she's got
good.
What?
Huh?
What was that? I didn't hear that, Mima.
Yeah,
I was saying she's got a song out of it now, so it's all right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She's like the girl in the Art Monkey single. I can't even think of it. Obviously, it's been sort of a hit every week. Obviously, going out of college, I'm just trying to think. Bigger Boys and Stone Sweethearts. That's what that last few views of.
Yeah.
Same sort of level, yeah.
You can claim some fame off that. Claim some dosh.
Yeah. Great.
Obviously, speaking as arranging this interview, I did sort of ask the question: have you got any new stuff coming out? For our listeners?
We do. We've been in Park Street, like we were saying where we go earlier. We've been there sort of about a month ago. We were in there for a week or so. So not 100% sure on a date yet, but we new stuff coming pretty soon. And it, to be fair, it's sounding pretty good at the moment.
Is it the same as your first EP, or is it sort of like a different style as you went through?
It's a little bit.
I'd say more mature. I'd say if I had to say like a different sound. It sounds like we've been playing for longer than we were with the EP. Do you know what I mean? It sounds like we played together longer.
Yeah. It's not your classic, like when you see loads of bands do like a second album or something, it sounds nothing like them. But it's like, it's different to the first EP and they all sound like they've got their own sound.
Yeah, I'd say it's more that. They're like, with the EP, it was more sort of 4 songs that sound, I mean, not the same, but sort of similar. Whereas these 4, they're sort of more 4 singles than they are a whole EP, because they have sort of like slightly different sounds to them all a little bit. So probably less of the same, I'd say.
Obviously, talking about like maturing artists, Declan McKenna, he released Zeros out last week. Any of you listen to it? I like it that much.
Yeah, big
fan of Declan.
And obviously, like with Declan McKenna, he sort of started off with songs like Brazil and Paracetamol, and obviously, I think I don't know if you would agree with this, but the Zeros is a carbon copy. It's not a carbon copy, but it has some Bowie. Like it looks like he's listening to a lot of Bowie. He's got into a lot of David Bowie, and
I think he's got a very that's what I thought. Bowie, Elton John, that sort of stuff.
Obviously,
even with his whole sort of image a little bit, he's sort of he's trying to mimic its sort of image as well. But it's still pretty.
It's a lot of 18th synth sounds. Yeah, very good though. Very good.
It's working for him, so you can't knock it.
He's got a little mullet now, hasn't he? I'll tell you.
He's got a little bit of back, hasn't he? Yeah.
Can any of you see yourself getting a mullet? I think the most likely one to get a mullet is probably either Dave or Ben.
Dave, I reckon.
I reckon Dave could rock a mullet.
Yeah,
I think Dave would rock a mullet. Maybe when post-pandemic, get yourself to the barbers, Dave. Just shave the sides off.
Yeah.
It started to mullet at the end of lockdown, so it was like the first thing I did. I got it cut off.
Don't be boring, Dave.
I wasn't looking that fresh. Embrace it.
Ben, Tom, if you get another skinhead, then I'll get a mullet, mate.
Done.
Jesus, do not get a skinhead again.
I had the little Lego man hair because I had the skinhead, and then obviously because I wasn't shaving it all the time, it started growing outwards like that. So it was like a proper Lego.
Like a tennis ball.
It was pretty good to see that.
That'd be good. That skinhead mullet. You sort of have that image. You're appealing to not only David Bowie fans but also Scar fans too. So
I
mean,
Ben can get dreadlocks.
We're ticking all the boxes. Ben can
get cornrows.
Ticking all the boxes.
I'll get dreads. Yeah.
Oh, no problem.
Heavy looking band.
Next time you go drinking, what you should do, right? Put a bet on whoever gets it, for getting dreads, and whoever cannot handle their drink, they have to get dreads. I think you should do that. I think that's a fair competition.
Game on.
I don't know who that'd be.
We're all pretty lightweight, I'd say.
Yeah. To be fair, I've seen all of us in heavyweights. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I mean. I couldn't really pick. Everyone has their moments of being pretty mixed.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Come from sort of past London, up north of London. Everyone's a heavyweight. Obviously, going on London just shows like a lot of lightweights. But
I feel like the further north you go, the bigger heavyweight you are. To be fair.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah.
Well,
I mean, we're not really. A big drink. I mean, really.
In the grand scheme, not especially. No.
We don't.
Go on.
We don't pride ourselves on our drinking ability at all. Do you know what I mean? We're not.
Well, unfortunately, being from Middlesbrough, that's the only thing that you've got to sort of buzz about is that you're heavy drinkers. Because we don't really pride ourselves in anything other than because we've got a diabolical football team and it's not really a good place, Middlesbrough. I don't know. It's not somewhere you'd come on your holidays. Well, obviously, this is all self-typical.
Your ability to drink, however, shines through.
Yeah. That's the most important
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
Come out the womb with like a 2-litre bottle of vodka.
Yeah.
So
The UK's little slice of Russia.
I mean, obviously, like, it is like Russia. To be fair, if you come up here, it's like you're on little like sort of Eastern Europe, like post-Soviet, Jim Soviets.
Might have to make a band day trip out of it.
Oh yeah, you should.
Sounds more like Chernobyl.
Yeah, absolutely battered in Middlesbrough.
Yeah, so all sorts of people in Middlesbrough. I mean, the only thing to pride ourselves on is the food, though. I don't know if you've heard of the parmo, chicken parmesan. Never heard of that.
I've heard of that. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
It is, and obviously, if you do come to Middlesbrough, I'll have to make some out of it. I'll have to do an interview with you with a parmo.
That's the one, isn't it? Yeah. Bit
That's
of
the
a
one.
tour of the sites.
There's like Wrexham have its like own like distinguished strand then, or is it like does because obviously I know like most places in like the north and Wales like sort of have their like own food that they've made up. Does Wrexham ever have that?
Got a good beer.
Wrexham lager.
Got a very good beer.
I've had a Wrexham lager, yeah. It seems alright.
Very nice, mate.
Decent.
Yeah.
You got Sam's favourite kebab shop in Wrexham as well.
Yeah, I think it's
decent
possibly the best kebab shop in the UK, personally. I've never been anywhere nicer.
Maybe that is just the booze talking, but it's pretty good to be fair. It's pretty.
What's it called? Like I'll have to. I'm gonna write this down actually.
The Wrexham Central Kebab and Pizza House, I think, or something like that. It's like I think it's like it looks pretty bad. It looks quite heavy. Do you know what I mean?
I'm gonna have to write this down because I want to try this.
I've been to a few kebab shops around the UK, like when we've done gigs and that after nights out, like Chester, Leeds, Manchester, Liverpool. Like none of them even like compared to this. Like seriously, it's very good.
It must be good. It must be good if you're bigging it up like that because I can big a few takeaways in Middlesbrough, but and then again, I need to try this. It sounds good. If they do good scram, that's all that matters really.
Really, that's my plan. I'm just gonna keep hyping them up and hopefully they get touch on
about 4 as well. So you know, it's that win-win really.
Sam's two of the takeaways. I'd invest in that. I'd put my money behind that. It's a good cause, that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's the only reason we go on tour.
One thing. The next thing. Well, I don't know what time do I need would be. Oh well. Anyway, the next thing that I'm going to ask you, I've done this on my first podcast a few days ago, and I just thought I might as well make a tradition out of it because it is just a good conversation matter. It's called Beverage, and it's where I ask you what your top 5 drinks, beverages are, and I also want to know how our listeners, how their beverages, like their top 5 lists, sort of compare to yours. So I'm going. It wants to be the first person to give me the top 5 drinks. Top 5.
There's alcohol.
I need a moment.
Are we talking lager or
alcoholic, non-alcoholic?
Any drink.
Or any drink. Top 5.
Ooh, fucking hell.
I need a moment.
Yeah, I might need a moment.
Okay, I feel like it changes. I feel like it definitely changes. I go through periods.
It has like flexibility.
Lads, I bet I can guess Ben's top 5.
Go on
then.
Water. That's it.
Fuck off, no.
The most dead top 5.
You should dig on your personality, that. Just water.
Nah, number 1, Wrexham Export. 100%.
Local.
A pint of Wrexham Export.
Ooh,
And then number 2, I'll go White Russian.
Fuck you.
Yeah, man.
Ben, it sounds like it's appearing that you have a problem. Are you okay, Ben?
Yeah.
They're telling you.
Favorite drink, alcoholic drinks, but that's weird.
Yeah.
Nice White Russian. But I don't really drink any other, like, I don't drink soft drinks, do I? The water or alcohol, so. Yeah.
No.
G&T 3rd. Normal Wrexham.
What was number 3?
You have 2 types of Wrexham lagers in your top 5.
I love Wrexham lager. Actually, yeah.
I love Wrexham lager.
Actually, no. I'll go. So first Wrexham Export, second White Russian,
Yeah.
third G&T, fourth. Oh, it's tough. This. I'd go a pint of Beer Moretti.
What's wrong with you?
Moretti.
Moretti.
Yeah, Beer Moretti.
It's alright. It's not.
Peroni if you can afford it, not beer.
Yeah, I go Peroni.
I prefer Moretti.
I'm siding with Ben on this. When I drink Peroni, I don't think it's worth the amount of pay for it. But Moretti, you can't go wrong with a pint of Moretti. It's beautiful. All types of weathers, Moretti.
Such a fine.
Putting it out there, to be fair, it's a non-alcoholic one, but Fanta Lemon.
Yeah, so.
Big shout. I've got my top 5.
Just had to put it in there.
Yeah, all right. So number 1, peach Fanta in the can. Number 2,
never tried peach Fanta before. Is that like because most like corner shops like sell limited edition Fantas that you can't get in the UK?
Yeah. There's this one in Liverpool, and one of our mates goes to Liverpool Uni, and he's got a little gaff there. And it's a corner shop right literally down the road. As it's the only place I've seen like where they sell it. And then we went to Amsterdam as well, didn't we? But like start of March, and like some of the Fantas they have, it was just like it was unbelievable. Like it was very impressive. Yeah. So
because we're a boring country, that's why.
Yeah. Peach Fanta first, red apple Fanta second. Pretty boring, but just some Fantas.
Fanta banter.
And then I would, to be fair, I probably would say another Fanta, but no. Wrexham Export third. Semi-skim milk fourth.
It's a good choice. It's a good shout. Yeah, it's a quick shout for that.
It's not such a good drink. And 5, rhubarb gin and tonic. Just change it up a bit.
It's my favourite gin, rhubarb. So, have you ever tried rhubarb mix? I mean, a good mixer for that is ginger beer. Try that. It's a good mixer.
Rhubarb and ginger. It's filthy, isn't it?
It's very.
Parma Violet gin's nice as well.
Parma Violet's good.
Parma Violet's good. It's gins, isn't it? Yeah. Beautiful. They're just like liquid version of sweets, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, nice.
A bit of alcohol.
I think I'd have to go. I have to go G&T first. To be fair, I have to go G&T first.
You like your gins, don't you?
Yeah, it's like the God's drink. To be fair, it's quality stuff.
That is true.
Peroni second, Banter lemon. I quite like ale. To be fair, I go for a light ale.
I like ale, but because obviously one of you've got to try, Tom, is the Newcastle Brown Ale.
Is that the one you had on the shirt, on the Newcastle shirt way back when?
Yeah, it's what Sam Fender.
I'm not a huge fan of Newcastle Brown, to be fair. I have had a few because my brother's at uni there.
Dave, you offended me there, Dave. You made me very sad, heartbroken.
I reckon it might be an acquired taste. If I had a bit more of it, I'd probably enjoy it.
Well, I'm gonna have to try it then. You've baited me out. I'm gonna have to give it a go.
You've got to try Newcastle Brown. It's about £1.80 in Tesco's. So,
I mean, if it's that cheap, it can't be anything wrong with that, can it?
No.
Yeah.
I reckon top 5's got to be cup of tea at the top.
Oh no.
100%. Anytime, anywhere. Cup of tea.
Can't beat that cup of tea, though.
Dead shout.
Well, the question is about the cup of tea. So the massive question of cups of tea is what do you dunk them with? Because obviously,
I hate tea.
You are.
I hate tea.
None of the others like it. None of them drink it. It's just
so dead.
To be fair, I have tea, no sugars, so obviously you can imagine that's a bit of a not a refreshing drink. But you just
I don't have sugar in it either.
You pour it, mate.
No, mate. Always the way you can have it.
Sam growing up, that. Sam getting old, not having sugar in your tea.
Yeah, I'd go.
Like a Guinness as well, don't you, Dave?
Huh?
You like a Guinness as well, don't you, Dave?
Yeah, I'd put Guinness in top 5, to be fair.
Guinness is that is a nice pint.
Brandy shout.
What is your top 5 then, Dave? Tea and Guinness so far.
Like a 50-year-old man already, I know.
So bad.
What else would go in there? Glass of milk, yeah, I'd say, from Sam.
Yeah.
What's colour milk for?
Blue, I'd say. What's that? Is that semi-skip?
That's fat.
That's full fat, isn't it?
Full fat, innit?
Yeah.
Fat milk.
Go for
Dave.
About your arteries.
I could go for a nice glass of wine, depending on the night.
Oh,
Good glass of wine.
I should have put white wine in there, actually. Good Sauvignon Blanc.
I'll knock that.
And then, just any lager or fucking ale, I'll drink it.
Any lager or ale.
Yeah.
They will
drink quite a lot of drinks, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've got to be safe, haven't you, Ben? Just anyone.
He sounds like a safe guy, Dave. Sounds like a safe guy, you do.
Tea, milk, and alcohol is just any of them.
The big three.
I'm literally I'm the smartest one when it comes to drinks. 100%.
I've heard it all now. That's it. I've literally heard it all. Wow. Okay then.
And I thought I'd never hear the same sentence where smart and alcohol goes in that exact sentence.
Yeah,
Dave, smart alcohol and Dave.
Especially with Dave.
Yeah, just no chance of being
Yeah, I've given you some good stories as well. It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
You just have to make your own
50 miles from the hotel.
You just have to make your own podcast now of the drunk stories of Dave.
I mean,
yeah,
we got
Probably
a
good
we could
couple of
build
weeks.
it pretty nicely.
story time with Dave.
Story time with Dave.
Story time.
Yeah,
That YouTube channel, yeah.
I'd watch that. I'd get behind that. You know.
What we should do is stop the gigs and Dave turns up on a stool and he just tells stories to the crowd.
Like stand-up comedy.
You could do like
one spotlight.
slam poetry like they do in 21 Jump Street. Just get Dave to do that at the front.
Yeah.
What would you change your name to? Royston Comedy Club or Royston Poetry Club? Which one? If Dave started,
I just changed it to Dave. To be fair,
Dave.
Meet Dave.
We can get rid of the rapper and just have Dave.
Get rid of him.
Meet Dave.
Just get rid of him and just replace him.
Get rid of him so we can get Dave in, yeah.
and then you Dave on the scene.
Yeah.
He's taking the storytelling scene so much. He'll end up on a gig with CBBS soon, doing the story time for that. So I mean, you go far, Dave.
Yeah.
Not sure it's quite the market we're looking
Good to know I've got a fallback as well.
Yeah, if in doubt.
I know one last thing I want to talk about is the name Royston Club, and I'm a fan of the show League of Gentlemen, and the town in there is called Royston Daisy. Is there any similarities between those two, or was it just like something you just thought on the spot? Or?
I didn't know that. To
be fair, the place it's actually named after like a gentleman's club in Akravaya near where we live, and the place around there is similar to Royston Daisy. To be fair, there's some right characters going in there.
I think because it's a smart like obviously. I want to explain to the other lads if you don't know. There's a show called League of Gentlemen, and it's a sketch show. It was pretty much the inspiration of Little Britain. You know Little Britain, obviously, and it focuses on a northern town, like sort of like the ones that we're from. Ben, can you explain the rest, or do you want me to keep going?
There's a lot going on in the show, to be fair, but there's just some weird characters in there.
Yeah.
But I'd say you probably find weirder ones in the Royston Club in Akravaya, to be honest.
Sorry to all the listeners you from Akravaya.
Yeah, apologies.
Yeah, innit?
They're gonna sue us now for stealing their name.
Yeah,
we have to keep them on side, for God's sake.
Be Cork.
My relatives are all from Akravaya, so.
Well, I'm looking forward to see the Cork case on TV where it's the population of whatever it is. I can't pronounce it because an Englishman pronouncing a Welsh place is probably, not the best thing because obviously we can't pronounce the Welsh names. Versus, I'd like to see the case of that, like versus the Royston Club, and obviously you're forced to count millions to this population who sort of packs the name from.
At least we might get in the newspaper,
Oh yeah, just find
all publicity and all that.
Yeah, I think it'd be sound.
Round of blue milk. I'm pretty sure they'll be all right. And just get Dave to some of the stories, and they should be sound. They'll love it.
Yeah, guys, don't worry, Dave's here.
I'm I'll entertain everyone.
Dave can be our lawyer.
But yeah, for our listeners that don't know, the Royston Club, they're sort of a new emerging band from North Wales. If you're into your sort of Jaws piece, you'll like these lads. They've got the sort of like nice little vibe to them. It's not a mosh. It's not a sort of a jumping up and down vibe. It's more of a sort of like slow dancing vibe. Not Barry White slow dancing though. More like just really. Obviously, if you are from the Welsh, if you are Welsh and if you are from Wales, make sure you check these lads out. These are fellow Welsh lads. Obviously you've got to give them some support because there's not really that much from Wales because other than sheep, and obviously I'm really sorry that might offend, but
Ben,
don't cancel me for that.
This is a safe place.
Really hope this But obviously, these are fellow Welsh lads, and sort of it'll be more than appreciate if you sort of listen to them and sort of put them out there on the scene. The Royston Club, they have got a new album out. I don't know when the release date is. Maybe used. Probably put some more stuff out on your social media. Probably some teaser trailers or whatever.
Probably also not a new album out too soon. Probably like new singles coming out.
New singles.
Yeah.
New singles. New album. The album that can. It's not. It's too soon.
The album's pending. You know, give it a year or two. We'll have to wait and see.
Any potential names for the album? I mean, just
probably have to write the song.
No idea.
Going with that, to be fair.
Like we're rubbish at this. Like we are.
Yeah.
We hate album covers as well. It's like album covers is like our nemesis. It's like absolute hell.
Yeah.
So anything or covers is just nightmare. You know.
Just base it around Dave and the people from where the original Royston Club's from. Just base it around that, and there you go. You've got a concept album.
There's definitely a concept.
But anyway,
not the right of it, yeah.
You can check these lads out. The Insta, I can imagine, is at the Royston Club band. That's Instagram, yeah. Make sure you give them a follow. They'll more than appreciate it. Obviously, give them a listen, because these are class lads. And like I said, I feel personally that these will be making it big soon. I don't want to blow your trumpet yet, but I do feel like that you will be making a name for Wrexham. Probably give it a post-pandemic. Probably after 2021.
Yeah.
#Royston
Royston Club 2021. That's what we're saying.
That's the one. Yeah. If you go viral.
Hashtag 2021.
Well, it's been great having you on, and obviously I do hope you take care, and who knows, maybe I will see you in a few months discussing probably new releases, or you might be coming up here to try the farm, or I might be going down there to try this takeaway that I'm going to research.
Cheers for that. Loved it, to It's been sick.
Thanks for having us.
It's alright. Cheers for coming on, lads.
Absolute pleasure. See you, mate.
See you later, mate.
No worries.
See you later, boys, yeah.
See you.
See you later.